Okay, apologies. That was probably evident, but I don't know. Whatever I use or however I'm recording this decided to kick me out. So here's part two. Let me pop open this video again, and and I'll just replay it. Sorry about that. Okay.
It's 2 p.m. You're feeling tight and foggy. Sound familiar? You've been sitting all day. The hours seem endless, right? What if I told you there's a simple solution? Introducing the Lotus Break, a 10-minute reset for your mind. Just move, breathe, and reset with no pressure or mat needed. Experience science-backed micro-mindfulness designed for busy lives. In just 10 minutes, you'll feel rejuvenated. Let me share 3 key benefits.
Okay, so so from a content standpoint, like this video, pretty confident is made with some AI resources, which in some respect is no problem. It's talking about who the maybe the what the mentality is, that the type of person that this is being targeted towards, kind of what maybe they're going through or what they're feeling, which is cool. You can, other people can identify that with that. I think the question that I have with this video is, okay, how is the potential customer going to experience this? Are they, if I'm looking at the title here, it's called Stiff at Your Desk, Take a Lotus Break, 10-minute mindful reset. Okay. But this isn't a 10-minute mindful reset. In some respect, it's a advertisement for the 10-minute mindful reset. So, in some respect, the question I would have is like, well, if I'm on YouTube, like I'm probably searching for the 10-minute mindful reset, not for the advertisement about the 10-minute mindful reset. Now, if we're going to use the advertisement to try to push somebody to the 10-minute mindful reset, now we need to think about like, okay, well, like, how am I pushing that advertisement out there to then get them to go do something to then land on, the mindful reset. So am I using YouTube, the platform, from a discovery engine standpoint to get them to help, discover my mindful reset that then bounces them, into the next step of my funnel? Or am I using it simply as a video hosting platform that then I'm going to take that link and somehow share it out and get them to bounce in my platform into my funnel? Like, kind of, how am I using this platform, and what it does the sales process actually, look like? So again, there's nothing necessarily wrong with this creative. It's really bundling it with like, okay, what do I expect to happen, and how does that happen? How does the potential customer actually experience the thing that I have created? Okay. I've got one more, and not that I don't, not that I was about to say I like this one, not just that I don't like other ones. This one, to me, though, the one thing I think this one nails is having something that feels like it could be quite repeatable and yet is still aligned with sort of what they're selling. Okay, so let's take a look, and then I'll talk about like why I think it's well aligned to be something that's repeatable. Okay, so you can see that you can view the product, you can place the order for the product, right? So this individual is showing us actually creating the product and then essentially allowing you to be able to buy the product that you saw get created. So we're kind of bundling this entertainment along with direct buying. One of the reasons that I really like this, and especially maybe think it's well suited to like social media, is one, we're creating bespoke content. So we're creating unique, one of a kind content. We're allowing the ability to buy that specific content, and it's something that we could do, You can make a new drawing every single day, 10 drawings every single, whatever. Like, it's something that, like, if there are people that are into watching artists create their drawings, like, awesome. And now you can watch an artist that you like, and you can directly buy the piece that you're seeing. That feels really tightly integrated to me, and it makes sense from like a repeatability standpoint, on like just thinking through, like, what do I create if I'm going to create social media content for the next year? What do I create? You could create 365 of these types of videos, one a day, um, and that might be pretty cool. Okay, so I like that one. Again, just because it was aligned with it had this like campaign feel to me, where I think some of the other ones may have been lacking in that. But there's nothing really wrong with that. We run these loops, we test, we try, we upgrade, we move, we morph. You just want to keep all your balls in the air. So as you're juggling these things, just remember, you may drop one or two at times, but no problem. You can pick them up and keep moving forward. So don't get discouraged. If I maybe was nitpicky to yours, don't get discouraged. I think as long as you're kind of continuing to iterate, you're doing just fine. Okay, so let's talk about. Let me kill these real quick. So let's talk about our project this week. Let me get this back up. Okay, so we built our assets, and now week 7 is our launch plan and KPIs. Okay, so our deliverable is a campaign timeline slide and a KPI dashboard mockup. So let me explain what those two things are, so we can think about how to put these things together. So let's just read this. So it says, create a simple timeline showing when you will release your marketing materials over a 2 to 4 week period. Include what marketing activities you'll do first, second, and third. Here's some examples. Okay. Next, list 3 to 5 basic ways you'll measure success. For each measure, suggest a realistic goal, number, and explain how you'll track it. Okay. So we want to define what success looks like, and then we want to plan for that feedback loop coming back. So that's what post-launch optimizations based on data feedback is. So we want to be able to kind of respin what we've done after we've learned something. Okay, so why do I say a 2 to 4 week period? Well, does it have to be 2 to 4 weeks? No, it doesn't. I picked 2 to 4 weeks. That's random. What we want to think about is a campaign, because a campaign has multiple steps. If you're going to put out, like, okay, just if we're going to put out, if our album is dropping and we're going to put out one social media post that says, hey, our album's dropping, and if we think that post is going to convert into buyers of our album when we've done no other kind of, marketing outreach, like, we're just lying to ourselves. That isn't how it works. We're going to need, 4 weeks ahead of dropping that post, we're going to need to start warming people up. We're going to need to start feeding out, little demo clips, a little behind the scene, right? A little behind the scenes, little, I don't know, lyrical references. We're going to start needing to warm up the system so that when we do drop it, we've already got people that are kind of invested in our success. Okay, so we want to think about, like, okay, what is the process of that we're doing here, and what do we expect, to happen on a something like a like a email outreach. We may send an email out to someone that then we expect them to click a link and come to our website, because maybe by doing so they get a coupon or something like that, and then they're going to need to add items to their cart. Maybe then we hit them with another buy in the next 20 minutes, and get an additional 10% off type of thing, and then we're expecting that to move another certain number of customers kind of over the finish line into the buy category. Those are kind of the steps that we're going. Now I'm talking 2 to 4 weeks. Again, maybe that takes 2 to 4 weeks, maybe it doesn't. But this buyer's experience a couple different steps. What are the different things we're doing at each step to try to kick them along in the process to ultimately buy, and then, in some respect, come back and repeat buy. So we want to have a detailed timeline on what does our customer journey look like, and where and when are we hitting them with, the new kind of piece of content. When are we hitting them with the new message? How are we continuing to move them along? How are we, when are we giving them that reminder that, hey, you've still got, stuff in your cart? You guys have probably got that. You put something in your cart. This company follows up with you to remind you that you've got stuff in your cart. That's not because they like you. That's because they want you to buy it, and they're nudging you. So we want to think about what are those nudges that we're giving our customers, to move down the funnel. All right. Then at each step, we also want to think about, okay, we're nudging this person. What do we expect them to do to move along in the process? Now, you may say, well, I want them to buy my product. Well, okay, but if we're talking about this nudging system and the fact that we're going to try to hit them multiple times, through that funnel, what does it look like when they don't buy? So what does the success look like prior to somebody clicking and giving you their money? What's the success look like? So in the instance for an email, if we send them an email, success might be just having them open the email. So we can get email open rates very easily on an email campaign, and we may have some success measure that we want on email on opening an email. Now there's also email click rates. So if you have a link in your email, you can track how many people not only opened that email, you can track how many people actually clicked that email. So, maybe we've got some goals on those types of things depending on our messaging. And, once they get to our website, once they've clicked onto our website, the next thing we want them to do is add a product to cart. And we may have some sort of metric to try to get them to, to try to ensure that they're adding something to the cart. How do we track that success, and what do we expect to achieve? Okay, so we want to think about, okay, what are the steps that this person's taking? What are the pieces of content, or how do we actually push this person to the next step? And then how do we measure how successful we were at pushing them to the next step? All right, and that's what we want to wrap together. And then what we do is when we launch that campaign, we can look back and say, okay, this is how we were expecting a customer to proceed. This is what happened at each step. This is what we thought was gonna happen. Like, were we successful or were we not successful? And that's what we can ask ourselves. Okay, did it work or did it not work? Where did it work? Where did it not work? What should I improve? What should I test to see if I'm able to improve on it next time? Okay. So that's what we want to do. What was I going to pull up? Oh, yes. So some of you have probably seen customer funnels. Maybe some of you haven't. This is from a book I wrote. I can't remember if I put the link. Oh yeah, the link is provided. You can get a PDF of this here if you want to check this out. But basically, so this is our marketing funnel, and what we think about is a customer falls in the top, a lead essentially falls in the top. So the first time a customer ever sees us, they fall in the top, and a customer comes out of the bottom, meaning somebody that actually buys. And at each kind of step, so if we think about these, lead generation is kind of our process one. Contact capture is process two. Drip marketing is process three, and ultimately getting a buy is process four. And in each one of these kind of barriers, so in between lead generation and contact capture, we're basically quote unquote converting somebody through the lead generation process and putting them into the next process. So if we get somebody coming out of the bottom of lead generation and into the top of contact capture, we've had a successful quote unquote conversion. All right. And the same thing with contact capture to drip and from drip to buy. Now I'll explain what those terms mean, but these are basically the steps that a customer goes through. And then we're going to have marketing activities at each one of those steps. So our lead generation process is going to be looking like something like we're gonna send cold emails to 100,000 people, and we bought a lead list, let's say, and we're gonna send an email to these people that basically says, you know, hey, come and like this is who we are. Come and sign up at our website, and you'll get a 30% off coupon emailed to you. Okay, and so basically, what we're going to test there is contact capture. What am I doing? Maybe I may have coupled two things together. So let's go. So our lead generation process is the process of us actually getting leads, meaning people that we can start emailing. And the contact capture process is the process by which we capture their email such that we can start email marketing to them. Okay, so with our lead generation process, let's say we're going to take on a social media process where essentially we're going to start doing marketing content, and then our goal is we actually want website visits. Okay, so we're going to start doing some sort of social media content marketing. We'll have some campaign around our product or service. So what do we may let's say we're a yoga studio, and we're going to start showing different yoga content that is basically it's going to be 50% of a class, let's say, and we hit them with a call to action that says, hey, if you want to see the rest of the class, come to our website. Okay, and that's going to be the thing that we want. We want to drive website views initially, and that's going to be the means that we do it. Okay, so now they're coming to our website, and the next process that we want to capture their email address. Okay, so now we've got them going from social media to our website, and now when they're on our website, what we want them to do is give them our email. We want them to give us their email address, and so now maybe we've got a form that says, hey, want more lessons? So maybe on social media we do one lesson a week. We do this half lesson. You come to the website, you get the full lesson. And if you want 2 lessons a week, sign up for the email list. Okay, so cool. So now we've got their email. And now we once we've got their email, we drop into the drip process, meaning now we start dripping out more content. So not only do they get 2 videos, but we also promote, some services or some products that we sell. And ultimately, when they click on buy of one of those products, that's when they convert to a buyer. And now they've actually purchased something from us. So in that case, we're going from social media marketing with a a KPI of website views with a certain amount of website views that we would expect on whether it's a per month basis or maybe per social media post, or some way of quantifying success. Okay, and then the contact capture process is we're going to hope to get 10 emails a month or something like that, or 10% of the people that come to our website, we want to get their email address, something like that. And then our drip campaign, we're hoping to get out of the people that we're actually contacting, we're hoping to make $100 per month in sales or something like that. These are the levels of success and how we actually measure success. All right, so that's how I would construct a funnel, how I would construct what my marketing campaign looks like, how I would construct how do I measure success, and then what my actually KPI is for measuring success. All right, so that's what I want you to put together. I want you to put together, what am I doing? How do I measure success? And what do I expect that success to look like? Okay. Now, the thing I'm not going to cover this week is our videos. Okay. There are 5 different videos here on marketing metrics, KPIs, all sorts of stuff. 2 of them actually have like the exact same title, but they are different videos. Like, honestly, the reason I'm not covering these is A, there's 5 of them. There's more than normal. Um, these things, they're not super long, but like these 2 are 15 minutes. I think these 3 are like 7-ish. That one's 11, 9. Okay, so these things are not short, but I do think these are probably the best videos that you can watch the whole semester. So I don't want to do it because they are all a little bit different. They're all different, like nuance. There are different ways of doing these things, but I went through these, and I think these are all kind of reasonable ways to kind of think through this process and hopefully give you an idea of how to, quote unquote, create a plan here. Now, these probably go into more depth than I've gone into here. They're going to go into more depth than what you need to turn in, but I think this is good stuff to think about from how do I plan a marketing campaign. Marketing is not just creative. It's not just pure how creative can I be. There is a lot of business thinking. There's a lot of technical kind of thinking that goes into creating um, a good plan. Okay, so I think that's it. I'm like 45 minutes in, something like that. So that's what I'm expecting for our uh, week 7. That leaves us with 1 week left. And week 8 is our final presentation where you are going to pull all of this together. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about in week 8 is how do we actually pull this together? How do we summarize everything we did? So that's what we are working towards. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully you made it to the end of video 2. I will post both of these again. I apologize for the split. But hope to see you next week. Take care.